Our body cells are like bustling cities. They're packed with power stations, recycling plants, and even control centers. What makes these cities highly efficient isn't just the workers inside them, but it's actually the walls and the compartments that surround them to make it highly organized. In this video, we'll be diving into the secret chambers inside our own cells, which are called the organelles or membrane bound organelles that are very crucial to the functioning of our cells. Organelles. So it's organ plus le, which is usually called as little. So organelles are nothing but little organs, and as we know, each organ has a specific function in the body. The organelles that are there inside all of our cells also have a distinct function to do. Now, the organelles themselves are surrounded by a membrane. As we know that the cell is surrounded by a cell membrane, most of the organelles inside are also surrounded by a cell membrane or the plasma membrane. Well, as you know, we have the nucleus, which is the command center housing your genetic blueprints in the form of DNA. We have the mitochondria, which are the power plants of the cell. We have the endoplasmic reticulum. It's a factory because that's where your proteins and lipids are produced, two of the most important biomolecules that our body requires. And then we have the Golgi apparatus, which is like a post office, we can consider, because that is where the molecules are sorted and shipped to their exact destinations. So these are some of the important organelles, but apart from that, we also have lysosomes, peroxisomes, and even plastids that are exclusive to plants, and each of them have a job that keeps the cell alive and thriving. Now, unlike bacteria, which are like open warehouses, the eukaryotic cells, like the one shown here, is highly organized. All their activities are tucked into tiny compartments, and each of them are sealed with a cell membrane that are called organelles. So today we will be stepping inside each of these tiny cities to explore their jobs and understand why the membranes were actually a game changer in evolution. Why is it important for these organelles to have their own cell membranes? Well, to answer this, it's something to do with their efficiency. Each organelle is like a room that is built for a specific purpose. It has its own structure that helps to do a distinct function. Now, the cell membranes give organelles their own space, or by compartmentalizing them, they help the organelles to carry out specific chemical reactions. Other important thing is, by forming a membrane, they allow each organelle to have their own microenvironment that suits its function. So if you take the case of lysosomes, we all know that the lysosomes have a acidic pH inside them that is exclusively important for its function. So most of the lysosomes have digestive enzymes that operate at a low pH. So lysosomes, by having their own membrane, are able to create a microenvironment that helps the enzymes present in it to carry out its specific functions. So let us understand the key functions of some of these important membrane bound organelles, starting with the nucleus. So the nucleus is the command center or the cell's headquarters. The nucleus is surrounded by a double membrane, which is also called a nuclear envelope, that is having multiple pores. So these pores can effectively control the movement of molecules into and out of the cell's nucleus. The nucleus is most important because it contains the genetic information in the form of DNA. And as we all know, the DNA is the information that is required to produce all the proteins in the human body. So coming to the second important organelle, which is endoplasmic reticulum. Now endoplasmic reticulum is again subdivided into rough ER or the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now wherever endoplasmic reticulum is associated with ribosomes, then we call it the rough endoplasmic reticulum. It is rough because of the presence of these ribosomes, and rough ER is essential to make proteins because it is the ribosomes that are the key to manufacturing proteins. Now if it is not associated with any ribosomes, we call it the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and its major function is to synthesize a bunch of lipids and also to detoxify some harmful substances. So the ER can actually be thought of as an assembly line inside a factory. So the next one is the Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus can be considered as the cell's post office. So the proteins and lipids that are synthesized at the ER first arrive at the Golgi apparatus. Once they arrive here, the molecules can either be modified, sorted, and finally shipped to a particular destination in small vesicles. These are all small vesicles that help to transport these biomolecules, which are proteins and lipids, to a specific destination. Now this destination can be somewhere within the cell or even to the outside of the cell. Some of these molecules can also be sent out of the cell. So next we have the mitochondria. As we all know, mitochondria is considered as the powerhouse of the cell because mitochondria contains a lot of enzymes that help to synthesize the main energy currency of the cell, that is ATP or adenosine triphosphate. So this is the energy currency and it has a lot of energy stored in it. Whenever the cell requires energy, ATP can be broken down to release ADP and an inorganic phosphate, and in this process a lot of energy is released. Now it's important to remember that mitochondria contains its own DNA. So apart from nucleus, mitochondria is the only other organelle in an animal cell that houses DNA. In the case of plants, we also have the chloroplast or the plastids that contain their own DNA, and this gives us a clue to their ancient bacterial origins. Lastly, let's discuss about lysosomes and peroxisomes, which are also important membrane-bound organelles. Now our cells will also generate a lot of waste, and this also has to be broken down. So this is where these organelles come into the picture. The lysosomes in particular are filled with a bunch of digestive enzymes that help the cells to break down damaged parts. Additionally, we have peroxisomes. So peroxisomes are specialized in breaking down fatty acid molecules, and they also play an important role in detoxification, especially in the liver. Here we can see the organelles in cells that have a single versus a double membrane. Most of the organelles contain a single membrane that include lysosomes, peroxisomes, Golgi apparatus, and the endoplasmic reticulum. Nucleus and mitochondria are two organelles that are made up of a double membrane. while ribosomes that help to produce proteins does not contain a plasma membrane. In short, the membranes allow cells to multitask without any chaos, just like our homes depend on walls to help us stay organized. Each organelle is a vital player, but it's their overall teamwork that helps the cells to thrive. If you have enjoyed this journey into the cell's inner city, please do share this video with your classmates and please drop down your favorite organelle down in the comments.